You have found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. In today's episode, me and Pat are going to discuss Caruso finally commenting on the Defensive Player of the Year things around it. What? Well, okay. The core three rankings amongst other core three groups, and we're going to talk about the Bulls getting their revenge against Detroit. All that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central.
Hey, bro, I'm off a Monster, a Oreo, Dayquil, and Whistle Pig. And I'm ready to fight God and become him. Let's go.
Still coming back from the DR, so it is what it is there as well. But yeah, bro, that's crazy. Today's episode is brought to you by Jase Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jase case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50+ infections. Get yours today at jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. All right, Pat. So after Alex Caruso's defensive masterclass against the Phoenix Suns, a lot of people have been talking about the chances and if Alex Caruso could become Defensive Player of the Year. Me and you kind of given our thoughts on that a little bit. We'll talk a little bit more about it here. But now he's chipped in on it as well. He said this: "I'm sure that there's a lot of people who didn't think I'd be in the NBA, who didn't think I'd be on the championship team, didn't think I'd be first team all defense. And there's probably a bunch of people that don't think I can win Defensive Player of the Year. I don't ever rule out anything just because I continue to impress myself with the heights that I can reach." How do you feel about that quote from Alex Caruso on the Defensive Player of the Year conversation?
Listen, I told you how I feel about him in the last game. I think he's the best guard defender in the NBA right now. I don't think that there's many people that can guard 1 through 5 at 6'5". You know what I mean? That are as good at it as Alex Caruso. You watch the defense that he put on Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was 1 for 7, I believe, in his attempt. No, 0 for 7. Excuse me. In his attempts when he was 1-on-1 with Alex Caruso. And, defense, like, we don't talk about Kevin Durant going 0 for 7 versus anybody except a brush. So I think for me, like, the fact that Caruso ended up is in the Defensive Player of the Year conversations is not a overstep or an overestimation or overreaction to what we saw versus Kevin Durant. No, he's one of the best defenders in the NBA. I love what DeMar DeRozan said on it. He was like, he's our Ray Lewis, he's our Deion Sanders, our Charles Woodson. He definitely is one of those great vocalists, communicators, competitors. It comes to when it comes to that end of the basketball. Like, Alex Caruso is the defensive anchor of this team, and he comes off the bench. Now, whether we want to have a conversation on whether that's a good thing or not, right? Like, yeah. But like, I love what AC has become here in Chicago, and I really do, right? Like, it's so funny because, one, I think we've done 3 episodes in a row pretty much about AC. I think that's hilarious. But 2, like, if we're being 100% honest on what he can be a part of this team, we were talking about, is he going to be a part of a championship team? Do you trade him? Mm-hmm. And then we had the opposite end of that conversation on, is he the guy that gets the young guys to the next level? I've seen Patrick Williams look better next to Alex Caruso than DeMar DeRozan. I've seen Ayo Dosunmu look better next to Alex Caruso than Zach LaVine. Like, I'm seeing guys who I thought legit. I mean, if we're being honest, Kobe White looked better coming off the bench with Alex Caruso than he does in the starting lineup right now. So, like, I know maybe it's a complete overhaul of like the opinion we had like Wednesday, but that game and how stark of a difference the team looks when he's a part of the team. The entire starting lineup was a negative, and the entire bench was a positive, like a plus 48. Like, there's a lot there with AC, and I do think that he has a chance not only to be DPOY, but maybe to be a piece that this franchise keeps around for whatever the next iteration of it's going to be.
Well, the thing is that I'll say on this is that not that I doubt Caruso's skill level or ability to win Defensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year doesn't come from losing teams, though. When you look at the last handful of Defensive Player of the Year, Jaren Jackson Jr. last year, winning team. Marcus Smart the year before that with the Boston Celtics, winning team. Rudy Gobert with the Utah Jazz, that was a playoff team. Giannis Antetokounmpo, we already know Giannis. And then you had Rudy Gobert 2 years before that, Draymond, and then Kawhi Leonard 2 years before that.
That's true.
And then so you got to be on a team that wins. And so it's not that I doubt Caruso's ability at all. He absolutely can and should be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I just don't trust this team to win enough games for him to be in that conversation like he rightfully so should be.
I think we need more of a seat. He won't be in the conversation if they're not winning. I do agree with that. I'm not going to say that. He won't win it if they're not
winning. He may
winning.
get a couple of votes. Right.
But I think that he would absolutely be a person that's in the conversation if what we saw versus Kevin Durant continues going forward to the rest of the games throughout the season, because even in a losing effort, everybody left that game talking about Alex Caruso's defense. You weren't really talking about, okay, what can he do on the offensive end? Like, he had 19 points in the game. He shot one of the best percentages I've ever seen him shoot in a Bulls uniform, I want to say. Like, he shot 80% from the field, pretty much. Like, this guy was dominant in that game. Or 80% from three, I should say, right? Like, he was dominating in that game. And, like, when you see a guy like that, if that continues, he'll get notoriety and notice, but the conversation will be what it has become. Why is this guy wasting away on the Bulls? Like, we need to see him on another team, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, that's the rhetoric that'll come from the aftermath of all of it. But I do think that he'll get some votes. He'll get some looks as a DPOY. And he should.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens with that. I don't have like the history of the voting, just the history of the winners. I wonder what's the highest amount of votes somebody got on a losing team, even though they're a great defensive player. But I ain't got time to look that up right now. But listen, at the end of the day, we know Alex Caruso is great. Like he's great, and what he means so much for the Bulls' identity. But I know me and you've had the conversation both on the pod and off the pod about the Bulls potentially keeping him around and whatever the next iteration is. I guess that remains to be seen on how much they want to blow it up and how many asses they feel they can get back. If they get completely in asset mode, you never know, right? But I think that is having a conversation of something that's still not very likely, right?
Yeah, like it wouldn't that be the weirdest thing though? Like the team that's left over has nothing to do with Zach and DeMar. It's got something to do with like Caruso and Vooch. Like, that would be the weirdest thing in the world to me if that's the direction they go, because they trade pieces away. But listen, we've been asking this entire time, who's the vocal leader of the team? Who's going to be the leader? Who's going to be and it seems like Caruso is that, but only to the bench unit, because that's the unit that he's a part of. And I guess, right, like if you're on the other side of it, we've seen Caruso in the starting lineup, and it didn't change much.
Yeah.
Like, now he wasn't shooting the ball as well as he's shooting at the start of the season. But
he also was 6'3" starting at power forward. It's really like, I get it. And I love what he's turned into. But like, Alex Caruso and his ability to just be whatever Billy Donovan needs him to be in play is something also that I don't think we talk about enough. Because there's not a lot of guards who can go out there and play power forward and do it as well. Like our point differential and everything was better with Alex Caruso as the power forward, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, listen, this guy, he gets it. He'll go out there and he'll guard Joel Embiid and not suck at it. I think that's the funniest part, right? Like, when we saw, I think it was one of the Milwaukee games they played, and it was like Alex Caruso. I was like, there's no way they start Alex Caruso versus Giannis. And they started him. I was like, this is going to get so ugly. And literally, I was like, this man is actually doing a really good job against Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's 7 inches taller than he is, has a way longer wingspan, and can get by anybody just by moving them out of the way. He can't move Alex Caruso. Like, hey, man, I love AC. I love what he brings to the team. I love the intensity. I think he embodies the city of Chicago. And I hope that he's here for a long time, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know. And if you want to talk about intensity, we're going to talk about our next sponsor who may help you bring some of that intensity. Whether you're on extended travel, bracing for a major weather event, or limited but yet another supply shortage, you are covered, my friends. Thanks to our partners at Jase Medical. Life-saving antibiotics and a long list of daily medications can be ordered on a 1-year supply. Even ED generics like Cialis, Viagra, Revato, and more. Go online right now at jasemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply on your daily medication. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. A verified customer had this to say about Jase. I'm thankful for this service. Supply chain issues caused me to cut pills in half to have it. I ordered most of my daily meds with a year's supply, and I also ordered the antibiotic kit. I will feel secure now. Prices are lower than local pharmacies. I highly recommend this for everyone. If you or someone you love will get some peace of mind by having a year's supply of any daily med, go to jasemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Remember to use promo code LOCKED ON for $20 off your purchase.
I mean, you skipped the first part of that read. What's going on with that, brother?
No, I read the other part that Nick gave us to read because I refused for that. There you go. Got to bring that intensity, bro. Got to bring that intensity.
Hey, man. Can't be cutting pills in half.
Listen, if you need your Cialis, you want to be able to take the whole pill, not half of it.
So does she. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to taking the whole pill.
Oh, man. So Kevin Anderson recently had a tweet. So there are 45 different 3-man lineups in the NBA that have played 150 plus minutes together so far. Out of those 45 3-man lineups, Nikola Vucevic, Zach LaVine, and DeMar DeRozan ranked 44th in offensive rating at 99.8, 42nd in defensive rating at 119.5, and then 45th dead last in net rating at negative 19 point. The Bulls are getting outscored by 19 plus points when the core three is on. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
It's exactly what we saw in that last game.
I get it, but it's just crazy to say that, bro.
It's listen, like I said this after in the post game for the Suns game, right? And I'll say it again, like they're done. They're done playing again. And it's not like they're done with like the friendships that they have built, and it's not like there's beef there and different things like that, but they're done as far as they realize that this dynamic doesn't work, and you can visibly see it on the floor. And we've seen this before, right? When players realize, no, this ain't it, all of a sudden the play just completely drops off. They're done. It's okay. Like the experiment's over at this point. We're just delaying the inevitable. And you can see it in these rankings. Like, there's not even a rhyme or reason why. Like when you watch the game, you have like Zach LaVine puts up what did he put up in the third quarter? 15 points
12,
in the third
12, 15, something like that. Yeah,
like, crazy amount, and he still was a -4 for the quarter.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just, you're giving your all on your end because you realize what numbers are going to get you the most looks wherever you go next. And that's how it feels watching this team now. That's how it felt watching the game. And that's why it's a complete flip when the bench unit comes in, because when the bench unit comes in, they're trying. They want to be here. They want to be a part of this. And so it is what it is at this point. And at this point, AK is just delaying the inevitable and probably waiting for the right phone calls to come in.
Yeah, and you were right. 15-point score, but was a -9. That's crazy.
Bro, like, you know how little you have to do on the defensive end to be a -9 when you score 15 points in a quarter?
That's crazy, man.
You basically, like, you basically have to score the basketball and then stand there. Like, yeah, just wait for them to come back down. When you guys come on the other end. I'll just wait till you guys come on the other end. You basically have to just score the ball and then just wait for them to come back down on the other end. So, like, I want this mid three to be successful. I want this core three to do better. I want them to figure it out. I still am that Bulls fan that's like, well, maybe they just starting the season off slow. Like, in my mind and in my heart, that's who I am. But I also can see what's happening on the court. Mm-hmm. And I can see that they're done playing together. And it seemed like that to start the season.
Yeah, it has. We talked about it. We compared it. What did we say before? It was It's like when the relationship ends, but you still got 8 months on your lease left together.
Yeah.
You just got to get through it.
Such a good analogy.
It really is what it is, bro.
Analogy. Oh,
Like,
God, it's elite.
It sucks that we're here because and this all happened. Keep in mind, this core has been together 3 years, bro.
Yep.
And we're at the place where you start seeing it year 6 or 7 with cores, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah, and well, I mean, I don't know a core that's been together 7 years outside of the Warriors. Oh, is that really it?
How long has Boston been together now?
Probably 7. I'll give you that. Okay, Warriors in Boston. That's still 2. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yes.
Welcome to 2023 NBA.
I mean, and they made a major move with their core, trading off from Marcus Smart, who was their longest tenured player. So,
yeah, I mean, he existed in the core. He was. Come on.
I mean, as far as I know, he's not but he was important for that team's identity, though.
He was. No, he definitely was. I'm not gonna say he wasn't. Marcus Smart was actually a real. I remember he changed himself as a point guard and got a lot better. I respect Marcus Smart's game. I'd love to have a Marcus Smart here in Chicago, but you know, we
do. His name's Alex Caruso.
Oh yeah. Well, he's off the bench though. You know. Yeah. Well, I guess Marcus Smart was for a little while too, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is what it is.
Wait
there,
a minute,
man.
Hold on now.
Let me ask you this.
Might have hit something there.
See, and listen, I may have cooked a little bit there unintentionally.
A little bit there.
Question to you though, Pat. In your world, and I know you sit and you've said it, you're basically all blown up at this point. Is there anything you think this front office can realistically do that to you would think that they can make this core salvageable like it was when Lonzo was healthy?
No, because now they're not going to use Lonzo's DP. Why would you use it on this team? Why would you go into the luxury tax for this team?
Well, I mean, technically you can use it without going to the luxury tax. You still have to trade off another player somewhere else.
Right.
So,
but I think that I mean, who are you going? Dalen Terry? Yeah, I mean, but
shout out to the Windy City Bulls. They start playing off tonight too, as well.
Man,
with G League game starts today. We'll be seeing a lot of Adama Sanago, Dalen Terry, OB, and Justin Lewis. So there you go.
About to look like a god out there. But no, I don't see a salvage that this team is going to have because I don't think they want to be set. Listen, there was room on the door for Jack and he let go. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's what this team feels like. It feels like Jack on the Titanic, just like, hey, maybe move over. Nah, wow. Like you could have been saved. I don't think this core wants to be saved.
Don't save them. They don't want to be saved. Don't save them.
They don't want to be saved. Don't save them.
Hey, listen.
Fool me one time, shame on you.
Yeah.
Fool me twice, can't put the blame on you.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I hope this front office realizes it. I know they're very quiet now, and that's been very triggering for some Bulls fans, but here's what I'll say, is they were very silent before the trade deadline where they traded Gafford and Wendell as well. So let's hope. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to say this. I'm not going to list a name of a player I want to see go or whatever, because at this point, I don't care. Improve the team. Or if you're not going to improve the team, let's just be bad to be. The thing that hurts so much about this, Pat, is that they jump-started our timeline, right? When they traded for Vooch, then decided to go after DeMar, decided to go after Caruso, decided to go after Lonzo. They jump-started that timeline to try to win now. Yeah. And we are probably in a worse spot than what we would have been in had they just swallowed their medicine and just been bad and just built through the draft those 4. Had we just built through the draft the last 4 years, we'd probably be in a better spot by now.
Well, I don't know that either, right? And that's the part where
they can draft.
Yeah, they can't.
Yeah.
Io's nice. I mean, but he's a question mark. Patrick Williams is not good. Dalen Terry can't get on the floor for some reason. We haven't seen Julian Phillips yet. I think that there is a portion where you have to sit there and force your head coach to have to play young guys, and Billy Donovan probably doesn't want to be a part of that team. And listen, I understood what he did. He tried to get the Bulls competitive. He tried to make it a competitive team, but you have to have players that want to go out there and compete. And I'm sorry, like I've said a million times, Chicago will put up with a lot. We won't put up with a lack of heart, and defense is a lack of heart. Or not playing defense is just a lack of heart. Like I've seen Kyle Korver become a decent defensive player just because he put in the effort.
Mm-hmm.
I know DeMar DeRozan can play defense. I've seen it. In the fourth quarter, he was great. And I think that's the part that irritates me most is like the Bulls almost have to be like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. We can win this game, guys. For them to go out there and give you that second effort, that third effort. And it's just, that's not enough to get it done at this level. It's not enough to get it done on a consistent basis at this level. But hey, man, we got to talk about a game that we do have coming up versus a very, very, very good young team in the Detroit Pistons. I mean, I hate to say it, they're pretty good though. I give them credit on that. But I do also want to tell you guys about PrizePicks. With basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from a special league with PrizePicks, a league created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, LeBron James and Travis Kelce at a 10.5 combo of 3 points made and receptions. That's an interesting way to go out there and do some of these parlays. I might have to check that one out there. Want to play alongside some of the PrizePick favorites like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community. They even offer reboot policies so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. This is huge, right? Because like if you do it on different sites, a lot of times you lose that player, it's over, right? But if you have a player who exits the game on PrizePicks in the first half and does not return in the second, the player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. That is crazy. So all you got to do is go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports with PrizePick, made easy.
All right. We also want to thank you guys for being tuned in to Locked On Bulls. Make sure you guys go and follow us on the podcast side on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave us 5-star review there as well.
Yeah.
And go ahead and hit the subscribe button on YouTube if you are a podcast listener. Just help us grow over there also. But Pat, last topic of the day. Revenge game, potentially, for the Chicago Bulls against Detroit. Started off our season early off against them, lost that game, pretty tough game there. Do you think the Chicago Bulls can play with enough heart to beat a young team that really kicked their butts before? The pain in your voice, brother.
Bro, it irritates me because it's Detroit, bro. Like, Zach LaVine is gonna put up 50. I give him 45.
Yeah.
I give him 45. But I don't know with this team anymore. I think that this is a Bulls team that matches up really well against this Pistons team, right? Like, I think that there should be ways that the Bulls can find ways to win. I can sit here and give you the logic behind it. I could sit here and give you the breakdown of what they should do with Vooch in the post. But at the end of the day, it's about, are you going to do it? And that's been the biggest question with this core the entire season. Are they going to actually go out there and do it? Heck, this core the entire last 2 seasons, right? Like, they talk a great game, but they don't go out there and put a lot of stuff on display. So I think, and I get it, it's early in the season. Maybe you don't want to make drastic changes like that because you don't want to affect the bench or not. But like, you might actually need to insert an Alex Caruso into the starting lineup in some way or fashion. Unfortunately, that might mean playing him at the 4 because you're not going to be able to slow down Jalen Duren and Cade Cunningham if you don't have some kind of defensive intensity. And the defensive intensity that the Bulls showed in the last game was absolutely atrocious. And this is from a defense that's actually been pretty good this season. Like, maybe it was just one bad game. Huh?
Some of the Bulls defense been good this season?
I mean, it's
showing flashes.
It's shown flashes. You know what I mean? Like, the Bulls defense has kept them in games that they couldn't shoot the basketball in, like, at all.
Yeah, this is true.
And even in the last game, we saw the flat, right? Like the second quarter was a great defensive quarter from this team. And that's how they fight their way back into the game. But that was the bench unit. So I don't know, man. Like anything short of like drastically just swapping the entire starting lineup for the bench unit. Like I just, you're running out of excuses to give the team. You're running out of answers that should be answers that aren't being put on the test.
You ain't got the answers though.
You ain't got the answers, Sway.
You ain't got the answers. I have not predicted wins and losses for the Chicago Bulls on Chicago Bulls Central for a year and a half, bro. I stopped because I'm like, this team isn't consistent enough for me to comfortably feel like I can predict a win or loss for this team. It just hasn't been. And so that's the spot where I'm in right now. It's like, I want to say that, especially with the way that they played in both the Utah game and the Phoenix game at times, they did show hard in those games that they should be able to beat a team like the Detroit Pistons. But the fact of the matter is, I would have to see that consistently for like 10 games before I can even rely on that, right?
Yeah.
We have the talent to be able to play with them. That shouldn't even be the question. But it's how that talent comes together. We lost to them by 16 points in our third game of the season.
Hey, and Vooch got cooked. That's the one game this season I can 110% say he got cooked.
Oh, yeah, he absolutely got cooked. He couldn't do nothing with Jalen Duren.
That boy Duren a problem.
Jalen Duren, he's going to be a problem for a while. I don't know what to say about this team. I don't know how to predict this team. All I'm going to say is this. Do we have the capability of beating Detroit? Absolutely. But do we also have the capability of losing by 20 to Detroit? Yes.
Here's the thing. If there's one thing the Bulls have to do consistently to win this game, this is how we're going to approach the whole season. Because, like, if there's one thing that they have to do consistently this entire game to pull out a win versus the Pistons, what's the one thing you want to see?
Defense.
Which they can.
They can. Defense and forcing turnovers.
Which they can.
Which they can. Those are the two things that because those two things alone make it easier for those two things in tandem. If you're playing solid defense and you're forcing turnovers, you're getting out in transition, and that puts the Bulls in the best situation to win.
100%. And this is still a team that I mean, when they get out on a run, they run the floor well. Now, I will say this. Do we have to find lineups with more Drummond in them? Which is crazy to say because you already know what he's going to do. He's Euro.
That's the thing. I think the moment we start, I know everybody says play Drum more. I think the moment Drum starts cracking 18 to 20 minutes per game, that productivity is going to take a hit.
But I think the question mark on it is, right, versus a team like this, Drum can run. Vooch ain't running. Vooch ain't getting out and running the floor, and he's right, like he's gonna go down there. He wants to set up in the post. He wants to get down there and cook. I'm fine with that. That's who he is. So he was when he came here. He's not sprinting up and down the court left and right. Drum will get out and run with you a little bit, right? So like off of a steal, you have your big man down low as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you're noticing turnovers are a consistent thing that we're getting in this game as it starts. Yeah, I think much like we saw against Utah, like we saw Drum get the opportunity to finish that second quarter because he was cooking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it goes that way, Billy Donovan has to ride the hot hand. And again, that's another thing that could be hit or miss with this team. So,
yeah, it's going to be an up and down battle all season, boys. That's kind of what it comes down to at the end of the day. So, strap in, Bulls fans, because
Can you say strap in the episode where we had ED?
I said, hey, listen, the next joke was going to be crazy, but I stopped myself from saying it. Listen, I said strap in after an up and down season, brother. The next joke was about to be outlandish. Let's get up out of here. Follow me on everything at Locked On Bulls. You follow me on you can follow us both on everything.
At Locked On Bulls.
Yeah, you can follow us both on everything at Locked On Bulls. Follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Y'all know what it was. Me holding in jokes will throw me off every time.
Every single time. Me too. Follow me at CEO Haize. Want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls, and we will be back next week. Love you guys. Go Bulls. All that good stuff. Peace, y'all.
Peace.